Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm your host JT, and if this is your first time tuning in, I just want to say thank you and welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the notification bell so you know every time I upload a new video. Today's guest has gone through challenges that some would say are insurmountable. Yet from open heart surgery to a rare lung disease and a heart transplant and many other challenges along his way, he shows us that between faith, family, and a positive attitude, he can get through anything. So please welcome Daniel Foy.
Yeah, man. So I was born September 2nd, 1995. So that makes me 24. I'll be 25 this year, which is crazy. So I was born, and the nurses and doctors were doing their final tests with just checking me out and stuff. I was a baby, or technically a newborn, and they're ready to give me to my parents, and we could go home. But they found out right at the last second that, wow, there's a huge issue. Your son is born with only half of his heart. So I was born with a congenital heart disease called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. And basically what that is it's a underdevelopment of the left side of your heart. And in my case, it was so underdeveloped to the point where I basically didn't have the left side. I was basically essentially born with only the right side of my heart. It's only half of a heart. So my parents were then given three options. They said, doctors and nurses said, all right, you can do a heart transplant, which 24 years ago was unheard of for a newborn. Just wouldn't work out. I mean, it might have done something, but the odds are low. And then you could also take your son home, and you'd be lucky if he makes it 2 weeks. That's about it. That's a conservative estimate. Or you could go through and have your son go through a 3-step, 3 open heart surgery process where you get 3 open heart surgeries over the course of about 2 or 3 years, and it would fix the congenital heart defect. But there's no guarantees, but it's the safest way and the best bet. So my parents decided on doing that, and that entailed 3 open heart surgeries. My first open heart surgery. Oh, I gotta mention, we were at U of M, Mott Children's Hospital. So they're amazing. They are one of the leaders in pediatric cardiology. So 4 days old, I was opened up for my first open heart surgery, and I had that. And obviously I don't remember anything, but so that was cool. Second surgery, I was 6 months old, and that surgery also went well. So I was doing okay, but I was still a baby, so I was still, just try to hang in there and whatnot. My third surgery, I was about 18 months old, but that surgery unfortunately went horribly wrong. I don't know what went wrong, but after the surgery, I was diagnosed with a very, very rare lung condition. And the lung condition is called plastic bronchitis. And basically, you can get bronchitis. My mom can get bronchitis. Anybody can get bronchitis. Mine, plastic bronchitis, is a version of that times a certain number. I don't know what it's times, but it's a much more intense form of bronchitis, and it's chronic. With plastic bronchitis, you are coughing up the regular mucus and crap like that, all the just stuff in your lungs, but also your lungs with this condition, they form casts, what's spelled the same way as like a cast on your arm, but they're much different than that. Obviously, they're basically this kind of like a plug almost. Imagine like a cotton ball with like a tail almost. So what they are is they're pockets, or they're these balls of like fat, and there's a certain fat within my lungs, I believe, within that condition called chyle, and there's some mucus fibrins and some stuff that just culminates in creating these huge plugs, and they can be as small as like a fingernail or literally as big as my dad's thumb. And I was, I think I was diagnosed at 2, shortly after the last heart surgery. So you can imagine, like, I was sick and coughing this stuff up, and it's bigger than half my hand at that point. So, it was incredibly scary for my parents, and I know I was hacking all the time, and it's what I had to do is what I was doing to survive. Carried on until I was about 3, and because of that, I got a pretty cool opportunity. Um, I'm sure Make-A-Wish contacted my parents, but I got a Make-A-Wish trip, and my sister was just born, so I know that all 4 of us went, and then I got to invite my grandparents as well, and it was an amazing experience. It was a lot of fun. We got like our own house that Make-A-Wish put us up in, and
Where'd you guys go?
oh, we went to Disney, obviously. I was only 3, so the lot
That's awesome.
Disney. Yeah. So that was fun. I brought the whole family, and we had a ton of fun.
And that was I mean, what an amazing organization, but also just a time for you guys to enjoy each other and sort of relax and let some of the stress of the medical stuff be forgotten for a little bit of time.
My parents, I would say, give a lot to definitely a lot of charities, but that's one that we hold near and dear.
Tell us about the period of your life that to me seems like a miracle.
Yeah. So around 3, I don't know when the doctors stopped, and I don't know if this is actually accurate, but I would guess that they stopped researching it as far as why I'm healthy, because they were like, we don't really care. The kid's healthy. We're not going to waste our time looking into stuff that doesn't matter. He's healthy. He's doing well. So then for literally 10 years, I was super healthy, all things considered. I basically was a normal kid, other than I had this huge scar. And when I was little, and even now, I thought my scar was sweet. So I was okay with it.
So I'll tell you a scar story real quick. When one day we were in Florida, and it was after a couple surgeries that I had, and so I'm walking around the pool, and this lady looks and goes, like, freaks out, and she's like, "What happened to you?" And my mom and my grandma are sitting a couple lounge chairs away, and I look at her at this point, and I'm young, really young, and I look at her and I go, "A shark bit me," and I jumped in the pool. And my grandma looks at my mom and goes, "You have to go tell her the truth. Go tell her the truth." And my mom's like, "No, that was too good. We're gonna let her live with that one."
Yeah, I've said jaguar attacks. I've gone the shark route. So
during all this, there was probably a ton of fear in your life, right? And I always say, faith over fear. I always have looked at faith to get me through some of those challenging, scary, dark times.
yeah.
What do you have to say about your faith in your life?
Yeah, no, it's definitely integral to my life. When I was sick, I don't know when this was, but I had this kind of epiphany. I was on the couch, just laying down, not laying down, but just chilling, coughing, and trying to just chill. And I had this like a coughing fit, and I don't know, God didn't like speak to me, and I didn't have the Bible open, but I kind of just remember this kind of like omen, or almost like a parable, where it said, when you are at your lowest, God will meet you there. And I kind of hung on to that for my whole rehab, my whole transplant, everything. And I still do. And I was like, yeah, I'm at a very low point. I'm super sick. I don't know if I can make it to high school. I don't know if I can make it to, I wasn't even thinking about college then, because I wasn't even making it through high school as far as going to class. So that was tough, but definitely leaned on God, and I was really involved in Young Life, and we'd had extracurricular Bible study called Campaigners. Really involved in that. I was good friends with Brady and Julie Tice, who used to run Young Life here. It's really cool with Pat Mollison, who now is the area director, and Pat's been my rock since I was like 12 as far as my faith. He and me and Murray are really close. Me and Murray used to beat up on him when he was in high school, and we were in middle school. So
That's awesome. And just a little side note, Daniel is a huge sports fan. And I think, with your challenges, I think sports has probably been something that you've been able to enjoy to watch and stuff.
Definitely therapeutic for me, I would say. I wasn't allowed to play sports. We're a soccer family. I played soccer growing up a little bit until I was, probably just age 7. So I missed sports, and I couldn't keep up at recess. Even I just had a hard time, and I couldn't play sports, and I was pretty I mean, I'm sure I was angry at that time. I'm still, I missed it. It was a big part of, I think, everybody's childhood here, and I wasn't allowed to do anything. So it was a
Yeah.
bummer. So my sports, love comes from I can't play, so why don't I just watch?
I think that many of us easily fall into looking at the glass half empty as opposed to the glass half full, which causes us to miss out on opportunities that are right in front of us. And those opportunities bring us joy and fulfillment. But had you chosen to focus on not being able to play sports, you would have been bitter and angry, but you didn't. This reminds me of that verse in Ezekiel that says, I will give you a new heart and a new spirit within. You were given a new heart. Tell us about that.
July 22nd was actually, funny enough, I was at the K's house playing basketball with Patrick, and his dad from my parents probably got the call because I think I had my phone in the house because we were playing basketball. And Tim K comes out, literally picks me up and grabs me. And I was like, whoa, what are we doing here? And he puts me in his car, and he's got a BMW, and he floors it. And I don't know if we were getting tailed or not, but he's going down the boulevard at probably 70 or something, and goes right to my house and, brings me to the front porch and my parents. And we had some other good friends, the Sales and the Wrights. And I don't know which one drove, but I know Mrs. Wright and Mrs. Sales came with us. I believe Mrs. Wright drove us because my parents were a wreck. I'm sure they were crying. And I don't remember much. I'm sure I was crying, but the drive there, I don't remember anything. Then they wheeled me in the OR again, and I was pissed. I had to go in a wheelchair, and they were like, "Dan, it's just procedure." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm Dan Foy. No, I'm not doing this." They're like, "Daniel, you have to." And I was like, my dad was like, "You just do it." I was like, "Fine." So I go in the OR again. And they're like, "All right, you can take your clothes off. We can do all this again. Hopefully, hopefully we're good this time." And I was on antibiotics to treat the infection, so we knew we were good. And I had the heart transplant, July 22nd, 2013. And I believe it was about a 14-hour surgery.
So during the surgery, you had complications. What were those complications you had?
So I had a stroke, and it was a huge stroke. And they continued to operate, and we finished the transplant, and then I was in a coma, a medically induced coma for 2.5 weeks. I woke up. I was actually blind in my left eye, blind in half blind eye, right eye.
Daniel, so I know that between the surgery and the stroke, you had unbelievable amount of challenges that would come when it came to physical therapy and occupational therapy. Could you touch on the story of coming home, though?
So I came home, and my advisor was like, "Hey, you're a senator still. You can sit in one of the cars and, do the Queen wave." And I was like, "All right, let's do it." And she was like, "Hey, do you have any spirit wear?" I was like, "No, but I don't need it." She was like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I just had a heart transplant. I'm coming home decked out in U of M gear."
This was your homecoming. I love that. And so I know you have a huge love for U of M, but you ended up going to a different school. How did you choose the school that you went to?
And I loved U of M, and I still do, but it's just such a big school, and it wasn't for me. And I didn't want to be known as, "Hey, you got you're in the back of the class. You got a red sweater on. What is your question?" And I wanted to be known as Daniel Foy. So I was also looking at Hope. I had some family friends go there, and then also Murray Sales went there, and we were still tight. So I looked at Hope, and I was like, "Wow, this school is amazing. I love this school." Ended up deciding on Hope because I just felt at home. There's a dumb little phrase at Hope that hope is home, and as stupid as it is, it really is, honestly. So
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on graduation and all your success too, and health too, and how you are so strong right now as well. So keep up the great work.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share. I hope stories like Daniel's inspires you to share your story, because your story is still being written and is certainly worth sharing. We'll see you next time.